In the heart of the world, where the stars dipped low enough to kiss the highest branches of ancient trees, lay the Whispering Vale. It was a place woven from twilight and soft sighs, a sanctuary where dreams, delicate as cobwebs spun from moonlight, drifted down from the sleeping minds of the world above. Here, the air itself hummed with a lullaby, and the ground beneath your feet felt like a cushion of moss and forgotten wishes. Elara was a creature of the Whispering Vale, as much a part of its gentle magic as the glowworms that painted luminous patterns on the mossy banks, or the trickle of the silver stream that sang tales of distant lands. Her hair, the color of twilight mist, often caught stray motes of dream dust, making it shimmer like a caught galaxy. Her eyes, the shade of new leaves after a soft rain, held the quiet wisdom of one who listened more than she spoke. Her days, if one could call them days in a place where the sun never quite rose, were spent in a rhythm of gentle tending. With a basket woven from willow whispers and morning dew, Elara would glide through the vale, her bare feet barely disturbing the luminescent lichen. Her task was to collect the dreams. Some were bright and bouncy, like tiny spheres of captured laughter, smelling of freshly baked bread and sun-warmed fields. These she would carefully nestle amongst soft thistledown. Others were quiet and reflective, like pools of still water, holding echoes of long-lost memories or unspoken hopes. These she would place on leaves of the star lily, allowing their gentle shimmer to be absorbed. And sometimes she would find a dream that felt a little lost, a little frayed at the edges, a forgotten wish, a fleeting fear. For these, Elara would hum a soft, wordless tune, and with a touch as light as a moth's wing, she would mend them, reweaving their delicate threads until they glowed with renewed hope. Her home was a hollow within the oldest willow whisper tree, its branches reaching down like comforting arms. Inside, the walls were lined with dried night-blooming jasmine and tiny, self-lit fungi that cast a soft, pulsing glow. Here the collected dreams were sorted. The brightest and most vibrant were released into the upper currents of the vale, where they would catch the true starlight and be woven into the tapestry of the night sky, becoming the constellations that guided sailors and inspired poets. The quieter dreams, the reflective ones, were gently poured into the roots of the vale's ancient trees, nourishing their magic and ensuring the continued peace of the hidden land. But there was a special kind of dream, one that Elara cherished above all others. These were the dreams of deep, selfless love, of unwavering kindness, of a pure, hopeful heart. They were rarer than dew pearls on a moonless night, and when she found one it would pulse with a soft, warm light in her hands. These precious dreams were not released into the sky or fed to the trees. Instead, Elara placed them in a small shimmering bowl carved from a fallen star fragment, nestled deep within her hollow. And she waited. She waited for the Moonpetal. The Moonpetal was not merely a flower, it was the living heart of the Whispering Vale, the source of its perpetual twilight, its dream-gathering magic, and the gentle lullaby that cradled all sleeping things. It bloomed only once in a very, very long time, when the celestial alignments were just so, when the world above yearned for a touch of renewed wonder, and when the collected dreams of pure hope reached a certain glow. When it bloomed, its petals, delicate as spun moonlight and fragrant with the scent of forgotten memories, would unfurl, releasing a wave of pure, potent magic that would ripple out, touching every sleeper, every dreamer, every heart in the world, renewing their capacity for hope and kindness. Elara had only ever heard tales of the moonpetals blooming from Lumina, her oldest and dearest friend. Lumina was a glimmering moth, ancient beyond reckoning, with wings that were a kaleidoscope of iridescent blues and silvers, etched with the shifting patterns of star charts. She moved with a slow, deliberate grace, her antennae constantly quivering, sensing the faintest whispers of magic in the air. Each bloom, Lumina had buzzed softly one evening. Her voice, like the rustle of dry leaves, is a promise that no matter how dark the night, how heavy the worries, hope will always find its way back. It reminds the world that kindness is the strongest magic of all. Elara often sat on the mossy bank of the silver stream, tracing patterns in the water with her finger, listening to Lumina's stories. Lumina had witnessed countless moonpetal bloomings, stretching back to a time before the tall mountains had learned their names. She spoke of how the air would thicken with anticipation, how the glowworms would pulse brighter, how the very stones of the vale would hum a different tune. And lately, Elara had begun to notice the subtle shifts Lumina had described. The dream dust, usually a gentle sprinkle, now seemed to fall in shimmering drifts, catching on her eyelashes like tiny stars. The glowworm's light, instead of their usual steady rhythm, pulsed with an excited, erratic beat. Even the silver stream seemed to gurgle with a faster, more urgent song. One twilight, as Elara was carefully mending a dream of a forgotten childhood toy, a small wooden horse with a missing eye, she felt a distinct thrumming beneath her feet. It wasn't an earthquake, nor the deep rumble of an ancient tree settling. It was a vibration of pure magic, resonating from the very heart of the vale. The dream horse in her hands pulsed with a sudden, brilliant light, then soared from her grasp, circling her head before disappearing upwards into the celestial currents. Elara gasped, her eyes wide. She looked towards the deepest, most sacred part of the vale, where the oldest star lily grew, its leaves the size of dinner plates, always folded inwards, protecting the secret beneath. That was where the Moonpetal slept. Lumina, who had been perched on a sprig of nightshade polishing her intricate wings with a tiny feathered leg, suddenly stopped. Her antennae shot straight up, quivering with an intensity Elara had never seen. "It begins, little dream weaver," Lumina whispered, her voice a barely audible hum. "The Great Awakening." Elara felt a thrill, a mixture of awe and a flutter of nerves. She had dedicated her life to the veil, to the dreams, to the preparation for this moment. But the reality of it was far more profound than any story. "How do you know, Lumina?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "The air is thick with anticipation," Lumina replied, her multifaceted eyes reflecting 1,000 tiny lights. "The old magic stirs, and look." With a slow, graceful sweep of her wing, Lumina indicated the small shimmering bowl in Elara's hollow. Elara turned. "No." The bowl, usually holding a soft, diffuse glow from the collected dreams of pure hope, was now pulsing with an insistent, vibrant rhythm. Each dream, no longer a separate entity, seemed to have merged, forming a single, radiant sphere of pure, golden light that pulsed like a gentle heart. It grew brighter with every beat, casting dancing shadows across the walls of her hollow. "The heart light," Lumina explained, her voice filled with ancient reverence. "The culmination of all the selfless dreams, the purest hopes. It is the Moonpetal's beacon, its nourishment, its very reason for waking." Elara felt a profound sense of responsibility settle upon her shoulders, warm and heavy like a cloak woven from starlight. This was her purpose, the culmination of her long, quiet vigil. She knew, without being told, what she must do next. She carefully, almost reverently, lifted the shimmering sphere of heart light from the bowl. It felt warm and alive in her hands, radiating a gentle heat that spread through her veins, making her feel connected to every living thing, every dreaming mind. "It is time to take it to the heart grove," Lumina instructed, her voice steady. "To the cradle of the Moonpetal. The ancient star lily awaits." Elara nodded, her eyes fixed on the pulsing light in her hands. She stepped out of her hollow, the heart light illuminating her path, transforming the familiar moss and lichen into a tapestry of glowing emeralds and sapphires. The whispering veil seemed to hold its breath. Every glowworm, every rustling leaf, every ripple of the silver stream hushed in anticipation. The journey to the heart grove was not long, but it felt momentous. The air grew thicker, sweeter, as if infused with the scent of 1,000 night-blooming flowers. Ancient trees, their bark gnarled and silvered with age, seemed to lean in, their branches forming a living archway, guiding her. The luminous fungi on the ground glowed with an almost frantic energy, creating a path of soft, shifting light. Finally, she arrived at the clearing. In its center stood the star lily, a magnificent bloom of colossal proportions. Its leaves, usually folded protectively inward, were now slowly, majestically unfurling, revealing a hidden chamber within. The air around it vibrated with a deep, resonant hum, a sound that seemed to come from the very core of the earth and the distant reaches of the cosmos. As the last leaf unfurled, it revealed not a chamber of darkness, but a shimmering, crystalline cradle, pulsing with a soft internal light. And within the cradle, nestled in a bed of silken stardust, was the Moonpetal itself. It was not yet in bloom, but a tightly furled bud, the color of deep midnight velvet, veined with threads of pure silver that pulsed faintly, like a sleeping heart. It was larger than Elara's head, and radiated a serene, powerful energy that made her skin tingle. This was the source, the heart, the promise. Elara approached the star lily with slow, deliberate steps, her bare feet pressing into the soft earth. The heartlight in her hands pulsed in perfect rhythm with the moonpetal bud, a cosmic dance of anticipation. She reached the edge of the crystalline cradle, and, with a silent prayer, gently placed the sphere of pure hope at the base of the velvet bud. As the heartlight touched the moonpetal, a ripple of energy surged outwards. The silver veins on the bud glowed brighter, thrumming with renewed vigor. A soft musical chime, like 1,000 tiny crystal bells, echoed through the veil. The star lily's leaves, now fully open, began to gently rock, as if lulling the bud to wakefulness. Elara watched, breathless, as the midnight velvet began to soften, to lighten. The silver veins pulsed faster, and a faint ethereal fragrance, like night-blooming jasmine mingled with the crisp scent of falling snow, began to fill the air. A warmth spread through the clearing, chasing away the perpetual chill of twilight. "It is waking," Lumina whispered, landing softly on Elara's shoulder, her wings shimmering with an almost blinding light. "The long slumber is over. Soon, the moonpetal will bloom. And with it, a new age of dreams will begin." Elara felt a tear, warm and pure, trace a path down her cheek. It was a tear of profound wonder, of belonging, of immense joy. She watched the moonpetal, feeling its ancient power stir, feeling the promise of its imminent bloom echo deep within her own heart. The night was pregnant with magic, the veil alive with expectation. The world above was still asleep, unaware of the quiet miracle unfolding beneath the soft glow of the perpetual twilight, but soon, very soon, its magic would touch them all. The air shimmered, not with heat, but with a vibrant, almost tangible energy that made the tiny hairs on Ara's arms stand on end. The moonpetal, poised on the brink of its grand unveiling, began to pulse with a soft, silvery light that intensified with each beat of her heart. It was as if the flower itself was breathing, drawing in the veil's perpetual twilight and exhaling pure, concentrated starlight. A low, resonant hum began to emanate from its core, a sound so deep and ancient it seemed to vibrate through the very stones of the cavern, through the earth beneath Ara's bare feet, and into the marrow of her bones. It was a chord of creation, a symphony of growing magic. The other inhabitants of the vale, those few who had gathered in hushed reverence, let out soft gasps of awe. Lyra, the wise woman, stood a little apart, her face aglow with an expression of profound serenity, her eyes fixed on the moonpetal with a wisdom that spanned centuries. Slowly, impossibly slowly, the outermost petals began to unfurl. They were not stiff or rigid, but soft as silk, iridescent as a dragonfly's wing, catching the ambient light and refracting it into 1,000 dancing motes of silver, lavender, and a faint ethereal gold. Each petal was a miniature masterpiece, etched with patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid moonlight, revealing veins of pure, condensed magic beneath their surface. As they peeled back, a delicate, intoxicating fragrance wafted through the cavern, a scent like dew-kissed jasmine mixed with a whisper of forgotten dreams, and the crisp, clean tang of a winter's night. It filled Ara's lungs, clearing her mind of everything but the absolute present, sharpening her senses to an exquisite degree. The inner layers of petals were even more breathtaking. They shimmered with an inner luminescence, a soft, warm glow that seemed to emanate from nowhere and everywhere at once. Each one unfurled with a slow, deliberate grace, revealing more intricate patterns, more vibrant hues. The hum deepened, becoming a gentle roar, yet it was a roar that soothed rather than startled, a sound that spoke of immense power held in perfect balance. Ara felt a corresponding hum deep within her own chest, a sympathetic vibration that resonated with the moonpetal's ancient song. It was as if her own heart was blossoming in tandem with the magical flower. Finally, with a soft, almost inaudible sigh, the innermost petals opened fully. At the very heart of the bloom, where a pistil might have been, there was no physical structure, but a swirling vortex of pure, condensed light. It pulsed, a miniature moon cradled within the silken petals, casting beams of pure, unadulterated moonlight that danced across the cavern walls, illuminating ancient carvings that had long been shrouded in shadow. These carvings depicted stories of the veil, of its guardians, and of a light that would one day reach beyond its borders. Ara, captivated, felt the light from the moonpetal's core reach out to her, a gentle, inquisitive tendril of pure energy. It didn't burn or sting, but, settled upon her skin like a cool silken veil, tracing the path of her tear, warming her from the outside in. As the light touched her, a profound sense of clarity washed over her. It wasn't just a feeling, it was a cascade of understanding, a quiet awakening within her own spirit. She felt a connection not just to the Moonpetal, but to the very essence of the veil, to the ancient magic that flowed beneath the earth and whispered through the leaves of the everwood. The Moonpetal, now fully open, was a beacon of living light, a testament to the enduring magic of the world. It pulsed gently, a cosmic heartbeat in the heart of the veil. The air crackled with residual energy, and the fragrance intensified, filling every nook and cranny of the cavern. The gathered inhabitants stood in silent reverence, their faces bathed in the Moonpetal's ethereal glow, their expressions a mixture of wonder, joy, and a deep, abiding hope. Lyra, her eyes still holding the ancient wisdom of ages, finally stirred. She stepped forward, her movements slow and deliberate, towards Ara. Her gaze, warm and knowing, met Ara's. "It remembers you, Ara," she murmured, her voice a soft melody against the lingering hum of the Moonpetal. "It remembers the blood that flows in your veins, the spirit that carries the spark." Ara, still dazed by the sheer beauty and power she had witnessed, could only nod, a silent question in her wide eyes. The connection she felt was undeniable, a profound sense of belonging and recognition. It was as if the Moonpetal had been waiting for her, specifically, to witness its bloom. "The Moonpetal is more than a flower, child," Lyra continued, her hand gently resting on Ara's shoulder. The touch was comforting, grounding. "It is the heart of the veil, the repository of its deepest magic, its memories, and its enduring promise. For centuries, it has blossomed in quiet solitude, a guardian of the balance, a beacon of hope for a world that has forgotten much of its true self." Lyra gestured to the swirling light at the Moonpetal's core. "Each bloom renews the magic of the veil, strengthening the veil that protects us, enriching the soil, and nourishing the spirits of all who dwell here. But this bloom is different." Ara looked from Lyra to the Moonpetal, then back to Lyra. "Different, wise woman. How?" "It has bloomed for you, Ara," Lyra explained, her gaze softened. "It has recognized its kindred spirit. The ancient prophecies spoke of a time when the Moonpetal would bloom, not just for the veil, but Gayatri, a chosen one. A spirit pure enough, strong enough to carry its light beyond these hidden valleys." Lyra paused, her eyes searching Ara's, seeing not just the young girl, but the immense potential within her. "You felt it, did you not? The connection, the whisper of ancient knowledge?" Ara nodded slowly, recalling the cascade of understanding, the sudden clarity that had washed over her. "Yes, wise woman. It felt like remembering something I never knew I had forgotten." "Precisely," Lyra smiled, a rare radiant smile that illuminated her aged features. "The Moonpetal has poured a portion of its essence, its wisdom, its enduring magic into you. It has awakened the ancient lineage that has slumbered within your family for generations. You are not just Ara of the Veil, child. You are Ara, the Moonpetal's chosen, a conduit for its light." A thrill, both exhilarating and daunting, ran through Ara. Her family had always been guardians, stewards of the veil, but this was something far greater, far more profound. "What does that mean, wise woman? What must I do?" Lyra turned, her gaze sweeping across the hushed assembly of the Veil folk, their faces alight with anticipation. "It means the time has come for the magic of the veil to reach beyond its borders. The world above, the lands beyond the whispering peaks, they have grown dim. The ancient magic has faded, the creatures of wonder have retreated, and the hearts of many have grown cold. They have forgotten the songs of the earth, the whispers of the wind, the light that binds all living things." Ara's heart felt a pang. She knew little of the world above, only the stories Lyra told. Tales of bustling cities, of iron and stone, of people who lived without the constant, comforting presence of magic. "The Moonpetal's light," Lyra continued, her voice gaining a quiet strength, "is not meant to be kept solely within these hidden valleys. Its purpose is to rekindle the flame of magic in the wider world, to remind all beings of the interconnectedness, the beauty, and the wonder that still exists. And you, Ara, are the vessel through which that light must travel." Ara's breath caught. A journey beyond the veil. The thought was both terrifying and incredibly exciting. She, a simple girl who spent her days learning the ways of the forest and listening to Lyra's tales, was now tasked with carrying the Moonpetal's light to a world she barely knew. "But how?" she whispered, the enormity of the task settling upon her shoulders. "How can I carry such a light, and where must I take it?" Lyra stepped closer to the Moonpetal, her hand hovering just above its luminous core. "The Moonpetal does not diminish itself by sharing its light, Ara. Rather, it grows stronger, its purpose fulfilled. And you, as its chosen, will not carry a burden, but a gift. You will carry the essence of its magic within your heart, a living ember that will glow brighter the more you share it. As for where..." Lyra's eyes twinkled. "The Moonpetal itself will guide you. Its light will draw you towards places where the magic has faded most, where hearts yearn for its return, even if they know not what they yearn for." As Lyra spoke, the swirling light at the Moonpetal's core seemed to intensify, and a faint, almost imperceptible map began to shimmer within its depths. It wasn't a static image, but a shifting tapestry of light and shadow, hinting at mountains and rivers, forests and plains, all bathed in the ethereal glow. Ara felt a pull, a distinct magnetic sensation drawing her gaze to a particular point on the shimmering map, a place of deep shadow, seemingly untouched by the Moonpetal's radiating light. "That place," Lyra murmured, following Ara's gaze, "is where your journey must begin. A place called the Whispering Wastes. It was once a land vibrant with life and magic. But now it is a place of silence and sorrow, where the very earth seems to have forgotten how to sing." The mention of the Whispering Wastes sent a shiver down Ara's spine. Lyra's stories of the wastes were always tinged with sadness, tales of a once beautiful land, corrupted by a forgotten blight, its magic siphoned away, leaving behind only dust and echoes. To begin there, in a place so devoid of life and hope, felt like an immense challenge. I don't know if I can," Ara confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. The weight of expectation, the thought of facing a world so different, so broken, felt overwhelming. Lyra gently cupped Ara's face in her hands, her eyes filled with unwavering belief. "You carry the Moonpetal's spirit, child. It chose you not for your strength of arm, but for your purity of heart, your capacity for wonder, and your innate connection to the living magic of the world. You will not be alone. The veil will send its blessings with you, and the Moonpetal's light will be your constant companion, a compass for your soul." As Lyra spoke, a faint, almost invisible light began to coalesce around Ara. It wasn't the brilliant glow of the Moonpetal, but a soft, internal luminescence that seemed to emanate from her very being. It was subtle, yet unmistakable, like the gentle shimmer of a pearl. The Veil folk, watching from a respectful distance, murmured in recognition, their faces alight with renewed hope. This was the sign, the ancient mark of the Chosen One. "This is not a journey to conquer, Ara," Lyra explained, her voice soft but firm. "It is a journey to awaken. You will not force magic upon a world that has forgotten it. Instead, you will remind them of its presence, rekindle the embers that still lie dormant within their own lands and hearts. You will be a storyteller of light, a whisperer of forgotten dreams." Over the next few days, the cavern of the Moonpetal became a place of quiet preparation. The Moonpetal itself remained fully bloomed, a radiant heart pulsing with light, its fragrance a constant comforting presence. Ara spent hours beside it, meditating, listening to the ancient hum that now felt like a part of her own being. With Lyra's guidance, she began to understand the subtle nuances of the magic that now coursed through her. It wasn't a power to wield with force, but a gentle, persuasive energy. She learned to feel the faint echoes of magic in the stones, the whispers of life in the roots of the cavern's few hardy plants. She discovered that she could with focus coax a tiny glow from her fingertips, a miniature echo of the Moonpetal's brilliance. It was a fragile, nascent power, but it was hers. Lyra helped Ara gather what she would need for her journey. A sturdy satchel woven from the resilient fibers of the whisper willow trees, filled with dried berries and nuts, a flask of pure spring water, and a small, smooth river stone that Lyra imbued with a protective charm. "This stone," Lyra told her, pressing it into Ara's palm, "will hum softly when you are near true magic, and grow warm when danger approaches. Trust its whispers, as you trust your own heart. But the most important item Lyra gave her was a small, intricately carved wooden pendant shaped like a miniature moonpetal. It was crafted from the wood of the elderwood tree, an ancient sentinel that had witnessed countless moonpetal blooms. This pendant, Lyra explained, fastening it around Ara's neck, will be your connection to the veil and to the moonpetal itself. Should you ever feel lost or your spirit wane, hold it close. Its magic will remind you of who you are and where you come from, and it will help you remember the songs. The songs? Ara asked, touching the smooth wood of the pendant. The songs of creation, the songs of renewal, the ancient chants that call forth the magic. The moonpetal has woven them into your spirit. You will know them when the time is right, and your heart will guide your voice. As the days turned into nights, Ara felt her initial apprehension slowly give way to a quiet determination. The task was immense, but the sense of purpose that had bloomed within her was even greater. She walked through the veil, saying her goodbyes to the folk, their faces filled with a mixture of solemnity and pride. They offered her small gifts, a lucky charm woven from moon moss, a pouch of fragrant herbs, a simple, heartfelt embrace. Each gesture strengthened her resolve, reminding her that she carried not just her own hopes, but the hopes of an entire hidden world. On the eve of her departure, Ara stood one last time before the magnificent moonpetal. Its light seemed to pulse with a deeper, more profound rhythm, as if bidding her farewell and offering a final blessing. She reached out, her fingers hovering just above its innermost petals, feeling the immense, vibrant energy radiating from its core. A sense of peace settled over her, a deep knowing that she was truly ready. The moonpetal had given her a gift beyond measure, and now it was her turn to give that gift to the world. The next morning, as the perpetual twilight of the veil began to yield to a slightly brighter glow, a subtle shift that indicated the approach of the world above's dawn, Ara stood at the mouth of the hidden pass that led out of the veil. Lyra stood beside her, her gaze piercing yet full of love. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and damp earth. "Remember, Ara," Lyra said, her voice soft, "you are not journeying into the unknown. You are journeying into the forgotten. The magic is still there, waiting to be remembered. Listen with your heart, see with your spirit, and always, always trust the light within you." Ara hugged Lyra tightly, feeling the frail strength of the wise woman's embrace. "I will, wise woman, I promise." With a final lingering look back at the shimmering magical heart of the veil, Ara turned and stepped onto the path. The hidden pass was narrow at first, winding through ancient moss-covered rocks, the air still thick with the veil's unique magic. But as she walked, the path gradually widened, the trees growing taller, their leaves a darker shade of green than the luminous flora of her home. The air grew thinner, cooler, and she could feel the subtle shift in the magical currents around her, a weakening, a fading, like a distant echo. She walked for what felt like hours, the gentle ascent bringing her higher and higher. The sounds of the veil began to recede, replaced by the rustle of unfamiliar leaves and the distant cry of an unknown bird. Finally, she emerged from the pass onto a rocky ridge. Before her stretched a vast open landscape, bathed in the pale nascent light of a true dawn. The sky above was a canvas of soft pinks and purples, giving way to a vast pale blue. It was a sight she had only ever heard described in Lyra's tales, the true sky, boundless and open, with the great golden sun beginning its slow ascent. The wind here was different too, sharper, carrying the scent of dry earth and something else, something that spoke of age and emptiness. Far in the distance, she could see a haze, a vast stretch of land that seemed to shimmer with an unsettling stillness. That, she knew, must be the Whispering Wastes. She reached for the moonpetal pendant around her neck, its smooth wood warm against her skin. A faint, almost imperceptible hum emanated from it, a gentle reassurance. The riverstone in her pocket grew subtly warm, responding to the vast open world before her. Ara took a deep breath, filling her lungs with the crisp, unfamiliar air. The weight of her mission settled upon her once more, but this time it was mingled with a profound sense of wonder and anticipation. The path ahead was long, uncertain, and filled with challenges she couldn't yet imagine. But she carried the moonpetal's light, the veil's hope, and a newly awakened magic within her own heart. The world above was waiting, and Ara, the chosen of the moonpetal, was ready to begin her journey into the forgotten lands. The world above was waiting, and Ara, the chosen of the Moonpetal, was ready to begin her journey into the Forgotten Lands. The opening of the cavern, which had seemed like a gaping maw from below, now revealed itself as a gentle archway woven with ancient, luminous mosses that pulsed with a soft green light. Beyond it lay not a harsh, sun-baked desert or jagged mountain range, but a forest of breathtaking, impossible beauty. Trees, taller than any Ara had ever seen, stretched towards a sky painted in hues of soft lavender and rose. Their trunks, gnarled and silvered with age, bore leaves that shimmered like polished jade and amethyst, catching the dawn light in a kaleidoscope of color. The air here was different again, sweet and thick with the scent of unfamiliar blossoms and damp earth, alive with a symphony of chirps, rustles, and distant, melodic calls. Sunlight, filtered through the impossibly dense canopy, dappled the forest floor in shifting patterns of gold and emerald. It was a light Ara had never experienced in the perpetual twilight of the Vale, a warmth that spread through her limbs, chasing away the last vestiges of chill from her long ascent. She took a hesitant step forward, her worn boots sinking slightly into a carpet of velvety moss that felt impossibly soft beneath her feet. The Moonpetal, nestled securely in its pouch, thrummed against her chest, a comforting presence amidst the overwhelming newness. She reached out a hand, tracing the delicate vein of a leaf that glowed with an inner luminescence. A faint tremor ran through the leaf, and a tiny iridescent dewdrop formed on its tip, sparkling like a captured star. As she walked deeper into the forest, the sounds became clearer, the sights more vivid. Giant ferns unfurled like the wings of forgotten birds, their fronds tipped with tiny chiming bells. Flowers bloomed in impossible shades, some spiraling like miniature galaxies, others opening and closing with slow rhythmic breaths. Ara felt a profound sense of peace settle over her, a deep connection to the living world around her. This was not the broken land she had imagined, but a place brimming with quiet magic, patiently awaiting discovery. Suddenly, a flicker of movement caught her eye. A creature no larger than her thumb zipped past her face, leaving a trail of shimmering dust in its wake. It was a lumina moth, its wings gossamer thin and patterned with shifting bioluminescent scales, like tiny stained glass windows. It hovered for a moment, its multifaceted eyes like droplets of liquid starlight, regarding her with an intelligent curiosity. Then, as if drawn by an invisible thread, it drifted towards the Moonpetal's pouch, circling it gently before fluttering away into the emerald depths of the forest. Ara smiled, a genuine joyful smile that reached her eyes. Even here, she was not entirely alone. She continued her journey, allowing her instincts to guide her. The path wasn't a clear trail, but a feeling, a subtle pull towards certain clearings or ancient moss-covered stones. With each step, she felt her own magic stirring, responding to the vibrant energy of the land. When she passed a patch of ferns that looked a little droopy, a soft, warm glow emanated from her fingertips, and the fronds straightened, their colors deepening. When a cluster of tiny, pale mushrooms seemed to shiver in the shade, a whisper of light from her heart coaxed them to unfurl, their caps blossoming into delicate, bell-like structures that chimed a gentle tune. It was an effortless, intuitive magic, a silent conversation with the life around her, and it filled her with a quiet exhilaration. She was not just carrying the Moonpetal's light, she was becoming a source of light herself. After what felt like hours, the dense canopy began to thin, and Ara found herself on the edge of a wide, shimmering river. Its waters weren't clear, but rather swirled with currents of silver and gold, reflecting the sky and the glowing flora in a dazzling display. Strange, bulbous fish with luminous fins swam in slow, graceful circles, leaving trails of light in their wake. On the far bank, the forest continued, but between her and it stood a colossal, ancient stone structure, half hidden by thick, winding vines. It resembled a weathered sentinel, carved from dark, unyielding rock, its features worn smooth by eons of wind and rain. It hummed with a low, resonant frequency that Ara could feel in her bones, a deep, dormant magic. The river was too wide to jump, too swift to swim. Ara walked along the bank, searching for a crossing, her brow furrowed in thought. The stone sentinel loomed, an impassive guardian. As she approached it, she noticed intricate carvings beneath the layers of moss and ivy, symbols and patterns she didn't recognize, yet felt strangely familiar, as if they were ancient echoes of the Vale's own forgotten script. She reached out, her fingers tracing a spiral pattern, and a faint ethereal glow emanated from her touch, illuminating the glyphs beneath. Suddenly, a high-pitched giggle echoed from the branches above. Ara looked up, startled, and saw a tiny creature perched on a low-hanging branch. It was no bigger than her palm, with delicate, iridescent wings like those of a dragonfly, and skin the color of new spring leaves. Its eyes, bright and mischievous, sparkled with curiosity as it regarded her. It had a long, wispy tail that twitched playfully. "Lost, little light-bringer," the creature chirped, its voice like the tinkling of tiny bells. It zipped down, hovering before her face, its wings beating so fast they were a blur. Ara blinked. I'm trying to cross the river," she explained, gesturing towards the shimmering water. "But the sentinel blocks the way, and there's no bridge." The creature darted around her, inspecting her with an almost comical intensity. "The stone sentinel doesn't block," it corrected, its voice a rapid chatter. "It guardsing, and it's not a bridge you need, but a ye whisper." It zipped back up to the branch, then down again, restless and energetic. "Pip's the name, by the way, of the Glimmerwing folk, and you?" "Ara," she replied, a small smile playing on her lips. "From the Vale of Whispering Roots." Pip's eyes widened. "Vale of Whispering Roots. I've heard tales of that place, far, far away. So you're the one the old stories speak of, carrying the Moonpetal song?" Pip pointed a tiny finger at the pouch on her chest. Ara nodded, a warmth spreading through her. "I am. Do you know how to pass the sentinel, Pip?" Pip performed a dizzying aerial loop. "But, of course, one must speak to it with light and song, but the vines, they sleep too deeply." Pip gestured to the thick growth covering the sentinel. "They need a wake-up call, yes?" Ara looked at the vines, then at her own hands. She remembered how her touch had made the dewdrop form, how her magic had revived the ferns. Taking a deep breath, she placed her palms against the rough stone of the sentinel, near a particularly dense cluster of vines. She closed her eyes, focusing on the warmth within her, on the gentle hum of the moonpetal, and on the soft, life-giving energy that had started to bloom within her. She imagined that energy flowing from her, a gentle light coaxing the vines to loosen their grip. A soft, golden glow emanated from her hands, spreading slowly across the ancient stone. The vines, thick and stubborn moments before, began to shimmer. They didn't wither or die, but rather, they softened, their tendrils uncoiling and retracting ever so slowly, as if politely stepping aside. As the vines receded, more of the intricate carvings were revealed, glowing faintly with Ara's light. Runes and symbols previously hidden, now pulsed with a soft inner luminescence. "Yes, exactly," Pip chirped, buzzing excitedly around her head. "Now the song. The sentinel listens to light and song." Ara wasn't sure what song to sing. She thought of the gentle melodies of the vale, the lullabies her mother had sung, the hushed whispers of the elder root. She chose a simple ancient tune, one that spoke of growth and awakening, a melody that had been passed down through generations in the vale. Her voice, soft at first, gained strength, weaving itself with the light emanating from her hands. As her song filled the air, the stone sentinel began to hum louder, a deep, resonant chord that vibrated through the river and the forest. The runes on its surface brightened, then pulsed with a steady rhythm, mirroring the beat of her own heart. Slowly, majestically, a section of the sentinel's base began to shift. Great slabs of stone, perfectly fitted, slid apart, revealing a series of glowing stepping stones leading directly across the shimmering river to the far bank. The stones weren't submerged. They floated just above the water's surface, pulsing with a gentle, inviting light. "You did it, Ara," Pip exclaimed, swooping down to land on her shoulder. The sentinel awoke. "It knows you mean no harm. It trusts your light and your song." Ara felt a flush of warmth. I just listened," she whispered, amazed at what she had accomplished. With Pip chattering excitedly on her shoulder, Ara carefully stepped onto the first stone. It felt solid beneath her foot, though it seemed to float effortlessly. With each step, the stone beneath her glowed brighter, and the next one ahead shimmered into clearer focus. The river's current, which had seemed so powerful, now parted gently around the floating path. In moments, she was on the other side, Pip leaping off her shoulder to explore a nearby patch of vibrant, glowing fungi. The forest on this side of the river felt even older, more primal. The trees here were thicker, their branches draped with long, luminous mosses that hung like ancient beards. Pip, however, seemed to know this part of the forest well. "Come, Ara. There's a place not far from here. A special place, the Starseed Clearing." They walked for some time, Pip flitting ahead, occasionally darting back to urge Ara on, or to point out a particularly fascinating bloom, or a creature scuttling through the undergrowth. The air grew cooler here, imbued with a faint melancholic sweetness. Soon, they emerged into a small clearing, but it was unlike any Ara had seen before. The ground was barren, the trees around it sparse and twisted, their leaves a dull, faded gray. In the very center of the clearing, a faint flickering light pulsed weakly, barely visible amidst the encroaching shadows. "That's it," Pip said, his usual exuberance muted, his wings beating a little slower. "The Starseed. It's fading." Ara approached cautiously. The light was indeed a seed, or at least it resembled one, a tear-shaped crystal, about the size of her fist, that should have been brilliant, but was now barely glowing. It lay nestled in a shallow depression, its surface dull and cloudy, its light struggling to hold against the gloom. Ara felt a pang of sadness, a deep empathy for this struggling spark of light. It felt like a part of the veil, a lost memory, a dwindling hope. "What is it?" Ara asked, kneeling beside it. She could feel a faint pulse of energy, a whisper of ancient magic, but it was weak, like a dying ember. "An old tale says they are fragments of fallen stars," Pip whispered, hovering close. "Seeds that hold the light of distant galaxies. This one, it's been here for centuries, they say. It once shone like a beacon, but the forgotten lands, they sometimes forget their own light. It needs nurturing. It needs hope." Ara instinctively reached for the Moonpetal. She drew it from its pouch, and its soft silver light cast a gentle radiance over the starseed. For a moment, the starseed brightened perceptibly, its internal flicker gaining strength. But then, it seemed to absorb the Moonpetal's light, only to dim again, as if the Moonpetal was a temporary balm, not a lasting cure. "It needs more than a borrowed light," Ara murmured, understanding dawning within her. "It needs a connection, something living." She looked at her hands, then back at the starseed. The Moonpetal was a powerful artifact, but her own magic, the magic she had just discovered within herself, was different. It was the magic of life, of growth, of nurturing. It was the veil's hope, the essence of renewal. She carefully placed the Moonpetal back in its pouch. Then she gently cupped her hands around the starseed, not touching it directly, but hovering just above its surface. She closed her eyes, taking a deep, calming breath. She pictured the veil, vibrant and alive, the elder root pulsing with endless life. She thought of the hope her people had placed in her, the trust in her heart. She focused on the warmth that had bloomed within her chest, the source of her newly awakened magic. And then, she began to sing. It wasn't the song she had sung to the sentinel, but a new melody, one that flowed from her heart, a wordless lullaby of life and longing. Her voice, clear and pure, wove itself around the starseed, filling the desolate clearing. As she sang, a soft golden light began to emanate from her hands, not a blinding flash, but a steady, nurturing glow that seeped into the starseed. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the starseed began to respond. Its dull surface shimmered, then cleared, becoming translucent. The tiny internal flicker grew, strengthening into a vibrant, pulsing light that matched the rhythm of Ara's song. The golden light from her hands intensified, mingling with the starseed's own growing brilliance. As the starseed brightened, a profound transformation began in the clearing. The barren earth around it softened, and tiny shoots of grass, vibrant green, pushed through the soil. Luminous flowers, unlike any Ara had seen, unfurled their petals in a silent burst of color, spirals of sapphire, delicate bells of ruby, shimmering stars of emerald. The twisted trees around the clearing straightened, their faded gray leaves regaining their deep, vibrant green, some even sprouting tiny glowing blossoms. The starseed, now fully awakened, pulsed with a magnificent radiant light, no longer confined to its crystal form. It began to rise slowly, hovering a few inches above the ground, then a foot, then higher, until it floated gently in the center of the clearing, a small celestial orb of pure, living starlight. Its light filled the entire clearing, chasing away every shadow, illuminating every newly bloomed flower. Pip, who had been watching in stunned silence, finally let out a soft gasp. It's alive. Truly alive. Ara, her song fading into a soft hum, opened her eyes. The sight was breathtaking. The clearing, once a place of desolation, was now a sanctuary of vibrant, otherworldly beauty, all born from her song and her light. The starseed pulsed gently, radiating warmth and pure, unadulterated hope. As she watched, a tiny shimmering mote of light detached itself from the starseed and drifted towards her. It hovered before her, then settled gently into the palm of her hand. It was a fragment of the starseed, a miniature, still glowing crystal, no bigger than her thumbnail. A gift, Pip whispered, awestruck. A beacon. It will guide you, Ara. It remembers your song. Ara felt a profound sense of connection, not just to the starseed but to the entire forgotten land. Her magic wasn't just light. It was life, a resonant frequency that could awaken dormant wonders. She carefully placed the tiny starseed fragment into a small, secure pocket within her pouch, next to the Moonpetal. It pulsed softly, a warm, comforting presence. Guided by the starseed's gentle glow and Pip's renewed energy, they left the now luminous clearing and ventured deeper into the forest. The trees here began to change again, their branches weaving together to form intricate, living archways that shimmered with faint, unseen energies. They entered what Pip called the shifting meadow. Here the paths seemed to breathe, appearing and disappearing, the distant trees swaying in patterns that defied the wind. Illusions flickered at the edges of Ara's vision, a waterfall of liquid starlight, a herd of cloud whales swimming in the sky, only to vanish when she focused. The meadow plays tricks, Pip explained, zipping ahead, then waiting for her. It likes to test the traveler. Only the true path reveals itself to a pure heart. Ara held the Moonpetal in her hand, its silver light steady and unwavering. It didn't dispel the illusions, but rather, it cut through their deceptiveness, revealing the subtle, almost invisible thread of the true path beneath her feet. As she walked, she noticed ancient, crumbling structures half swallowed by the earth, ornate stone pillars, fragmented arches and smooth, worn platforms that seemed to hum with silent stories. These were the echoes of the past, the remnants of a civilization that had once thrived in these forgotten lands. She could almost hear whispers in the wind, faint tales of grandeur and loss, of magic both potent and forgotten. The Moonpetal hummed more strongly here, as if sensing a kinship with these ancient places. It didn't just illuminate the path, it seemed to guide her towards certain points of interest, towards fragments of history that called out to her. Ara felt a growing certainty that the secrets she sought, the answers for the veil, were intertwined with the very fabric of this land's forgotten past. The journey was long, and the challenges ahead were sure to be profound, but Ara no longer felt the weight of uncertainty. She had the Moonpetal's light, the starseed's hope, Pip's joyful companionship, and a newly awakened magic that blossomed with every step. The world above was vast and full of wonders, and Ara, the chosen of the Moonpetal, was ready to explore every hidden corner of the forgotten lands. She looked out at the shimmering, ever-shifting landscape, a sense of quiet determination settling in her heart. The path ahead was still unknown, but she was no longer afraid. She looked out at the shimmering, ever-shifting landscape, a sense of quiet determination settling in her heart. The path ahead was still unknown, but she was no longer afraid. With a deep breath that tasted of starlight and fresh, dewy air, Ara stepped forward, Pip scampering excitedly at her heels. The Moonpetal pulsed softly in her hand, casting an ethereal glow that made the strange, iridescent dust beneath their feet sparkle like scattered jewels. This was the Forgotten Lands, a realm whispered about in ancient lullabies, believed by many to be merely a dream. But it was real, and Ara could feel its silent, yearning heart beating beneath the shimmering crust. The landscape immediately began to shift, not violently, but gracefully, like a slow-motion dance. Dunes of pearlescent sand rippled into towering spires of crystalline rock, then melted into plains of glowing moss-like flora that hummed with a soft, melodic thrum. Pip, usually quite brave, let out a small delighted squeak as a patch of emerald grass unfurled beneath his paws, then curled back like a shy sea anemone. "It's alive," Ara whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. Her newfound magic, still a soft hum beneath her skin, seemed to resonate with the land's gentle movements. When a fissure of light-filled air opened unexpectedly before them, threatening to swallow a portion of the path, Ara instinctively reached out. A silver-blue current of energy flowed from her fingertips, swirling and coalescing, not to stop the shift, but to guide it. The fissure gracefully closed, reforming the path a few steps to the left, as if acknowledging her silent request. Pip clapped his tiny paws. "You did it, Ara. You talked to the ground." Ara smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. It wasn't about talking to the ground, she realized, but about listening to it. The Moonpetal hummed in agreement, its light brightening slightly. She understood now that her magic wasn't about forcing the world to her will, but about harmonizing with its essence. Their first destination, though unseen, was a name that had surfaced from her deepest memories of the Moonpetal's whispers, the Lumina Spire. It was said to be a beacon, a memory of a time before the Great Forgetting, a place where the light of the stars once touched the earth directly. Days blurred into a tapestry of wonders. They traversed canyons where waterfalls cascaded with liquid starlight, navigated forests where trees bore fruit that tasted of forgotten dreams, and crossed meadows where the very air was woven with gossamer threads of ancient songs. Ara learned to coax vines into bridges, to calm skittish creatures with a soothing touch of light, and to translate the soft murmurs of the wind into gentle warnings or encouraging nudges. Pip, ever the cheerful scout, would dart ahead, his small paws leaving trails of light on the glowing ground, his laughter echoing like tiny bells. He discovered patches of berries that tasted like sunshine and dew, and befriended iridescent beetles that offered rides on their backs for a handful of shimmering dust. One twilight, as the twin moons of the Forgotten Lands cast long, indigo shadows, they found themselves at the edge of a vast, silent lake. Its surface was like polished obsidian, reflecting the heavens with perfect clarity. A stillness hung in the air, different from the vibrant hum of the shifting lands, a stillness that felt like holding one's breath. From the depths of the lake, a creature slowly emerged. It was immense, formed entirely of smooth, water-worn stones, covered in luminous emerald moss that pulsed with a gentle light. Its eyes, deep pools of ancient wisdom, fixed upon Aratai. This was no ordinary inhabitant. This was a guardian. "Child of the Moonpetal," a voice rumbled, not in sound but directly in Ara's mind, like pebbles shifting on a riverbed. "You carry the light. Do you know its purpose?" Ara clutched the Moonpetal tighter. I seek the Lumina Spire. I believe it holds a key to understanding these lands, to why they were forgotten." The stone guardian let out a sigh that rippled the lake's surface. The Lumina Spire is but one thread in a tapestry frayed by sorrow. The Great Forgetting was not an act of malice, but of withdrawal. The heart of the world, the wellspring of memory, dimmed when its connection to the stars was severed, when the people of these lands forgot to look up, forgot to remember the magic within themselves. The wellspring of memory, Ara repeated, a chill running through her. "It lies at the base of the Lumina Spire," the guardian continued. "It is the pulsing core of all life, all magic, all remembrance in these lands. But it has grown cold, silenced by the lingering sorrow of what was lost. The Moonpetal's light, born of starlight and pure hope, is needed to awaken it. And the star seed, it holds the forgotten dreams, the spark of rekindled belief." Ara looked at the Moonpetal, then at the small pouch where the star seed rested. "How do I awaken it?" "You must first reach the spire, but the path is veiled by the deep silence, the true challenge of the forgetting. It is not an enemy to fight, but a profound sadness that drains hope and dulls memory. Many who enter its embrace never emerge, their purpose forgotten, their light dimmed. The guardian's gaze softened. Only a heart that remembers, that holds hope against all odds, can guide the Moonpetal through the silence." With a final solemn nod, the stone guardian slowly sank back into the depths, leaving Ara and Pip in the profound stillness. A new weight settled in Ara's heart, but it was not fear, it was understanding. Her quest was not just to explore, but to remember, and to help the forgotten lands remember themselves. They continued their journey, and soon the vibrant, shimmering landscape began to subtly change. The colors softened, then faded. The melodic hum of the flora quieted. The light trails left by Pip's paws grew dim and vanished quickly. They were entering the deep silence. The air itself grew heavy, thick with a profound melancholy. Trees stood like silent sentinels, their leaves gray and brittle. The ground was no longer iridescent, but a dull, sandy brown. Even Pip, usually irrepressible, walked closer to Ara, his tail drooping a little, his playful barks replaced by soft whimpers. "It's so quiet," Pip whispered, his voice sounding small in the vast emptiness. Ara felt it too, a creeping lethargy, a subtle erosion of her resolve. Memories of her own past, of the journey to the Moonpetal's garden, felt distant, as if they belonged to someone else. The moon petal in her hand, though still glowing, flickered with a hesitant light. This was the forgetting, not an aggressive attack, but a gentle, insidious pull towards oblivion. They encountered beings here too, but they were unlike the vibrant creatures they had met before. There were wisps of shadow that drifted aimlessly, their forms barely discernible, their eyes holding an ancient, forgotten sorrow. There were stone figures, half buried in the dust, that had once been living beings, now frozen in gestures of despair. One day, they came across a small gnarled tree, its branches barren, its bark cracked and gray. But beneath its roots, a faint, almost imperceptible glow emanated. As Ara approached, a tiny translucent sprite, no larger than her thumb, drifted out from the tree. Its wings, once surely vibrant, were now dull and still. And its tiny face was its sorrow so deep it made Ara's own heart ache. "What is purpose?" The sprite's voice was a mere whisper in her mind, like the rustle of dry leaves. "Why? Remember, it only brings pain. Ara felt the pull of its despair, the truth in its words. Why remember sorrow? Why cling to what was lost? Her own magic, usually so responsive, felt sluggish, heavy. The moon petal's light dimmed further, mirroring her own fading hope. Then Pip did something remarkable. He nudged the sprite gently with his nose, then chittered, "But remembering joy brings joy, and remembering friends means you're not alone." He dug into his pouch, pulling out a handful of the glistening, sun-tasting berries they had gathered earlier. "Here, these taste like sunshine. Don't you remember sunshine?" The sprite looked at the berries, then at Pip's earnest, hopeful eyes. A tiny spark, like a forgotten star, ignited within its translucent form. It took a berry, hesitating, then nibbled. A faint golden blush spread across its wings. "Sunshine," it whispered, a hint of something other than sorrow in its voice. Ara watched, a sudden surge of warmth rekindling within her. Pip, with his simple, unwavering hope, had cut through the deep silence in a way her magic couldn't. It wasn't about powerful spells, but about connection, about shared joy, about remembering the simple wonders. She looked at the moon petal, and its light steadied, strengthened by the tiny sprite's rediscovered memory. "He's right," Ara told the sprite, her voice firm, pushing back against the encroaching gloom. "Remembering isn't just about pain. It's about all the beautiful things, too. And when you remember, you can bring them back." The sprite looked at her, then at the moon petal, its tiny form now pulsing with a faint, steady light. "Go to the spire. Remember. For us." With that, it drifted back into the gnarled tree, but Ara could feel a faint, hopeful warmth now emanating from the roots. Fortified by this encounter, Ara pushed on, her own will a fierce flame against the encroaching shadow. She spoke to Pip constantly, reminding him of their adventures, their shared laughter, the taste of the sunberries. She sang the lullabies she remembered from her childhood, her voice a small, clear beacon in the silence. The moon petal in turn cast a stronger, more vibrant light, pushing back the gloom like a gentle tide. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of quiet despair, a faint luminescence appeared on the horizon. It was a slender, elegant tower reaching impossibly high into the muted sky, glowing with an inner light that pulsed like a slow heartbeat. The Lumina Spire. As they approached, the air grew colder, the silence deeper. The base of the spire was surrounded by a vast circular plaza made of dull gray stone, utterly devoid of life or warmth. In its very center, a depression in the stone formed a basin, where a single crystalline pool of water lay. It was still, dark, and utterly lifeless. This was the wellspring of memory, the heart of the world, and it was barely clinging to existence. A figure stood by the wellspring, tall and gaunt, its form vaguely human-like, but shrouded in robes of deep shadow. Its face was obscured by a cowl, but Ara could feel the immense ancient sorrow radiating from it. This was the guardian of the wellspring, not evil, but utterly consumed by the forgetting, a sentinel of profound despair. "You have come." The guardian's voice was a whisper of cold wind, devoid of emotion. "To disturb the peace of oblivion? To stir the ashes of what was lost?" "I have come to remember," Ara declared, her voice ringing with newfound conviction. "And to help this land remember, too. Remembering brings only sorrow. The joy fades, but the grief remains. It is better to forget, to rest in the silence." The guardian slowly extended a shadowy hand, not threateningly, but as if offering a tempting embrace. "Give up your burdens. Let go of your hope. Join the quiet stillness." Ara felt a powerful pull, an allure of peace, of simply letting go. The moonpetal flickered wildly in her hand, its light struggling against the encroaching shadows that seemed to emanate from the guardian. Pip burrowed into her side, trembling. But Ara remembered Pip's bright eyes, the taste of sunberries, the vibrant hum of the shifting lands. She remembered the stone guardian's words, the tiny sprite's flicker of hope. She remembered the moonpetal's gentle glow, the starseed's promise. "No," Ara said, her voice stronger, clearer than she ever thought possible. "Remembering is also about joy. It's about connection. It's about the future that hope can build." She held up the moonpetal, its light now flaring with renewed brilliance, casting back the shadows. "The moonpetal holds the light of remembrance. And this..." She reached into her pouch and pulled out the starseed. It pulsed with a faint, warm light, mirroring the moonpetal's glow. "This holds the hope to begin again." She took a deep breath, focusing all her awakened magic, all her courage, all her love for this forgotten world. The silver-blue light that flowed from her fingertips was no longer a tentative current. It was a powerful, swirling river of pure energy. It intertwined with the moonpetal's soft, pearlescent glow and the starseed's warm, golden pulse, forming a single radiant beam. With steady hands, Ara directed the combined light towards the still dark waters of the wellspring of memory. As the beam touched the surface, the darkness recoiled as if struck. Ripples spread across the crystalline pool, not of water, but of pure light, growing brighter and brighter. The shadows around the guardian shrieked, tearing away from its form, revealing not a creature of malice, but a being of ancient, radiant light, now dimmed and shrouded by centuries of despair. Its cowl fell away, revealing a face etched with ancient pain, but now, a flicker of understanding, a spark of awakening, ignited in its eyes. The wellspring began to churn, its dark waters slowly turning to liquid silver, then to shimmering gold, then to a spectrum of all the colors of remembrance. Visions flickered within its depths, ancient cities of light, vibrant forests teeming with unheard songs, faces full of joy and laughter. It was the land remembering itself, remembering its purpose, its magic, its lost connections. As the wellspring pulsed with renewed life, a wave of vibrant energy surged outwards from the lumina spire. The gray plaza cracked, and from the fissures erupted roots of living light, unfurling into luminous flowering vines that climbed the spire. The silent, barren land outside the plaza began to bloom anew, colors rushing back, the melodic hum returning, stronger and clearer than before. The guardian of the wellspring, now bathed in the glorious light, slowly raised its head. Its shadowy robes dissolved, revealing a form made of pure crystalline light, breathtaking in its beauty. "It returns," it whispered, its voice now clear, resonant with profound relief. "The memory, the hope. It returns." The lumina spire itself began to hum, its inner light intensifying until it shone like a star fallen to earth, a true beacon piercing the muted sky. From its summit, a shaft of pure starlight descended, reconnecting the forgotten lands to the vast, shimmering tapestry of the cosmos. Pip, released from the gloom, bounced and barked with unrestrained joy, chasing after the returning colors as they painted the landscape. Ara stood before the wellspring, exhausted but exhilarated. The moon petal in her hand now pulsed with a steady, magnificent light, its purpose fulfilled. The star seed glowed within its pouch, a testament to the enduring power of hope. Her own magic, once a nascent hum, now flowed through her, a vibrant, powerful connection to the awakened world. The stone guardian, its moss now glowing with emerald intensity, emerged from the newly vibrant landscape, followed by countless other creatures, all shimmering with renewed life and light. They gathered around Ara, their eyes filled with gratitude and wonder. "You have done what was long thought impossible, Ara. Child of the Moonpetal," the stone guardian rumbled, its voice resonating with joy. "You did not fight the forgetting. You remembered through it. You showed us that true strength lies not in erasing the past, but in embracing all of it, the joy and the sorrow, and finding the hope to build anew." Ara looked at the restored land, at the vibrant living colors, at the joyful dancing light. The luminous spire reached to the heavens, a testament to a world reconnected. The forgotten lands were forgotten no more. They were alive, vibrant, and full of promise. She knew her journey wasn't truly over. The moonpetal's light would always be a part of her, guiding her, and her magic would grow with every act of compassion and understanding. She was not just an explorer, she was a bridge, a keeper of remembrance, a whisperer of hope for all forgotten things. Pip snuggled into her side, looking up at her with adoration. "What now, Ara? What do we explore next?" Ara smiled, a peaceful, confident light in her eyes. "Now, Pip," she said, stroking his soft fur, "now we help the world remember itself, one beautiful forgotten corner at a time." She looked out at the shimmering, ever-shifting landscape, no longer vast and unknown, but a beloved home, full of wonders still to cherish and share. The path ahead was clear, lit by the moonpetal's enduring glow, and Ara, the chosen of the moonpetal, was ready to live every moment in the light of its renewed magic. And as the stars twinkled above the vibrant awakened lands, she knew, deep in her heart, that the greatest adventures had only just begun.